So like all of these, it's really about simplifying, and they've just tried to make it a practical a situation. So they're going to give you the base, and they're going to give you the height, and they're going to expect you to know the area formula for a triangle, which is half times whatever the base is times whatever the height is. But ultimately, it just comes down to this. So I'm going to just put this on a separate sheet. It comes down to factoring these things. That's what it'll always come down to. So if we look at the top one, there's nothing I can do about 4x squared. I mean, it's 2x and it's 2x if I really want to divide it up. But it doesn't really matter. So if I look at the bottom, though, I see 63 is my number, and it has to add up to minus 16. So there's probably not going to be too many plus minus situations. Actually, it's going to be two minuses. And if we look at, no, that's a good question. This might be a quadratic, but I don't think so. But if we look at 63, it's only got 3 and 11. And what else about 63? That's about it. Doesn't divide by 2. Oh, 3 and 21, rather. 3 and 21. So if I subtract that, that's not negative 16. So this is an interesting situation. Let me just see the different factors of 63. Oh, yes, there's a few more. Sorry, there's 9 and 7. There we go. That's where I'm screwing that up. Of course, I could divide 21 by 3, and that would make 7, which means I multiply the 9 by this. So this makes sense, 9 and 7. So if they're both negative, minus 9 and minus 7, they add up to negative 16, and they multiply up to positive 63. So right away, we can replace that bottom structure with 8 minus 9 and 8 minus 7. This other one on the right, you can't really simplify this anymore. It's going to be x plus 3 no matter what. But the thing on the top has a 5 in common with everything. A 5 in common. So that means I can factor this right away by 5. And I get 5 x minus 7. And there you go. There's an x minus 7 at the top now. Now before you start eliminating everything, so I can replace this with this. Before you start eliminating things, find your restrictions. So it's anything at the bottom. Oh, I forgot to replace this here. Anything at the bottom, you just set to 0. So anything that's in factored form. So this can't be equal to 0, and this can't be equal to 0, and this can't be equal to 0 right here. It's not being divided. It's all being multiplied, so you don't have to worry about numerators and flipping. So these are all very simple opposites. X can't be. What can't X be? X can't be minus 3, 7, or 9. There, that's my restrictions. So if X were one of those things, my triangle would not exist. So I can't use it. Now we're going to this 2 is just multiplying things on the bottom. So really, if I'm going to redraw my entire denominator, it's all just stuff multiplying. When we multiply fractions, it's quite easy. Just everything is multiplying. I'm not going to distribute that 2 through. I'm going to leave it. And then as for my numerator, this 1 means nothing. I just have 4x squared, and it should really be in its own brackets, right? 4x squared. Bad brackets. I'll take the middle. I'll steal the middle. Times 5x minus 5 times x minus 7, like that. And I can even put the 5s up front. Like, I can sack this 5 up front if I want, and I can even put this 4 up front. And I can say, okay, 5 times 4 is 20. Numbers are allowed to multiply themselves, but let's just leave the 5 where it was for now, just to make things simple. And this is all over one big fraction. Since everything is multiplying, only the things in brackets can cancel if they're the whole bracket. So this can cancel right there. But the secret here is this 4 technically, since it's now 4 times 5, it's just 20. But this 4 technically can be divided by the 2 and become a 2. If you want, you can multiply the 4 and the 5 now, and it makes 20. And then you can take care of that 2. 2 goes in the 20, that leaves 10. It doesn't matter how you do it, into the 4 or into the 20. It'll come out the same thing. So up top, all I have is 10x squared. And at the bottom, all I have is the two factors, x minus 9 and x plus 3. So that's it. That's the simplified version of the triangle. I can't get anything more until they give me, and I got rid of all of this, and these are still the restrictions. So it's 10x squared over x minus 9 times x plus 3. This is the simplified area of that triangle. If they give me x, I can figure it out. You just can't use these x's. Boom, done. Now, remember that she also said you have to know the perimeter of a triangle. And the perimeter is just adding various things. So what she'll probably do for the perimeter is something similar, right? She'll have one side that's a quadratic over quadratic, and another side that's a quadratic over quadratic, and another side that's a quadratic over quadratic. And when you add the perimeter, when you figure out the perimeter of a triangle, you just have to add all the sides. And who knows, maybe you have to figure out one of the sides. So there you go. That's it. It's not as complicated as you would think.